Hello and welcome to another edition of Go Ellsworth. We're proud to be here today at OCCK corporate headquarters, and I'm joined at the table today with three lovely ladies. Susan Sprague, who is the Director of Expansion, and Shelia Nelson-Stout, who is the CEO and President of OCCK. And next to me I have Michelle Griffin, who is the Director of Transportation. I just wanted to say thanks so much, ladies, for having me today. It's great to be in Salina and right here at the corporate office of OCCK. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
We're just going to jump right in because we have all kinds of things to talk about. OCCK does so many wonderful things, and I'm excited to just learn a little bit more about all the different offerings that you have here. And so we're just going to dive right in, okay? So I'm very interested. How did the Services for People with Disabilities begin in Kansas, Shelia?
Okay.
How did that begin?
Okay. Well, the history of Services for People with Disabilities is very interesting. People had to fight for community-based services. You know, there's always been an option for people to go to the institutions. Sure. And families started talking in the 50s and 60s, talking about why do our sons and daughters have to go to an institution? Why can't our families stay home and be families? And so from those conversations in the 60s, for the most part, families started talking to legislators, to government, and said, we would like community services. You're paying for services in institutions. Why don't we move some of that money into the community and keep our family members at home where they're part of our community and those types of things? So there was an amazing groups of people all across the United States and certainly in Kansas that did not take no for an answer. They fought and got community services started all across the United States. It was called the deinstitutionalization movement, and President Kennedy at the time started talking about why do people with developmental disabilities have to be in institutions? Why do people who are poor? So he kind of really helped, and the Kennedy family, of course, was involved for their lifetimes with Special Olympics with people with developmental disabilities. So that's kind of how it all started. Before the 70s, there weren't even special ed services mandated, and so there was just, if you didn't go to an institution, there was nothing. So families started talking and started having conversations about what would we want in the community if we had services. So that's kind of how it started. There's a lot more than that, but that's kind of the crux of how families brought services together. And
so then, of course, there had to become some kind of support somewhere. So then when and how did OCCK come into providing those services, Shelia?
Okay. Well, in the 60s, as families were talking, they dreamed about a service that was a not-for-profit service that was run, had boards made up of people with disabilities and family members, and would provide these services for their adult children in the community. So in Salina, they incorporated OCCK in 1965, and then worked really hard to try to figure out money to start providing services. And so in 1970, we opened our doors here in Salina to provide employment services. And at the same time, the original board members, we had someone from mental health, someone from schools, someone from the Association for Retarded Citizens in Salina, and at the same time, family members all across the north central Kansas were talking about, oh, hey, they're going to get services in Salina, and we had legislators that were supporting, and so that began the conversation. We started here, and then over the next 5 years, of course, people from all of the counties that we serve said, hey, keep moving, let's do some more. And it was really, I wish I would have been a part of that. I'm not quite that old, but but it was an exciting time. And I remember our first CEO, Gary Cook, talking about how amazing it was because right after they incorporated, they hired him. And he started as a trainer and then became the CEO and stayed until he retired. So he got to watch everything begin. So that's kind of how OCCK started.
That's wonderful. And how long have you been in your position, Shelia?
in my position since 2011.
And with OCCK?
38 years. I started as a direct service professional and trainer, and I've done about every position that there is at OCCK, which is really fun. It's been an amazing journey, and of course, watched the organization grow from 3 employees to almost 300 now. So.
Oh my goodness, 300.
280, yes.
Part of what makes you, I'm sure, a great CEO, though, is that you've been in all those positions, of course.
I know what it feels like when someone tells you to do something you don't have time to do or can't do.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
You've been there.
Yeah.
I am going to go off script just for a second, because I remember as a younger person sending tasks to OCCK, such as buttons. Making buttons. We just got great buttons that you wore. We wore them all the time, and always had the great OCCK sticker on the back. These are made by the great clientele at OCCK. I just love that so much.
Yes.
So let's talk about how the services have changed, though, since 1970. I can only imagine that some of the changes. Let's start with you, Shelia.
Okay. Well, in 1970, when we opened our doors, we provided one service, and that was employment services. And we did things like make buttons and brought contracts in, and tried everything we could think of to help people gain skills so that they could work in the community. And a lot of people did gain those skills. So we started with that one service. Now we probably provide more than 25 in 15 counties, running all different directions, trying to meet needs. So we provide a lot of different services. The reason that we do is, part of our mission is to partner with the community, and as people have needs in our communities, our mission is that we try to respond to those. So we started out serving people with developmental disabilities, and then within a few years, our board broadened that to serve anybody with any type of a disability. And then we kept getting those calls saying, can you help with this? Can you help with that? So we think our mission is to be as broad as we can be. We're a rural organization. We're very proud to serve rural areas. And we think people pay too much attention to urban issues.
Sure.
And so we think we represent rural, very dynamic rural communities that work very hard to stay vibrant, and we should talk about services that people need to stay in rural areas because they're important in the state. So
very good. And of course, Ellsworth County is one of those counties.
Absolutely.
So, and we're proud to partner with you in that. So we appreciate that.
Good, thank you.
Susan, how about services that you can add to that? Services that you offer then?
Oh, of course. And I want to echo, when OCCK thinks about services, it starts with people. So then naturally, what do people need to stay in the community successfully? And so out of that thinking came In My Home, which is a home health agency. Mm-hmm. So providing a lot of different things, providing skilled nursing services, providing therapy services like PT, OT, speech therapies, behavioral therapies, all of those things that would help an individual, help a family to remain successfully in their home. But also things like help with homemaking, help with laundry, help sweeping off the porch,
Yes.
doing those chores, changing light bulbs. All of those things are part of OCCK's home health and home care agency, which is called In My Home. So that's one of those services.
So it's so important just to point out it's not just people with developmental disabilities. We think towards the intellectual developmental disabilities, but OCCK has such a wider reach than that, and so that's part of this awareness that I want to bring to everyone today.
Yes.
It is. I'm proud of that. I'm new at the organization. I've worked with OCCK for a very, very long time, but I'm new here. But that is definitely something that I'm proud of every day.
Yes.
That the services begin with what is it that people need and grows from there. And which takes me to another service that OCCK provides, which is brain injury support.
Yes.
So brain injury supports for a very long time, and Sheila actually was part of the group in Kansas that put this all together for families. We think about a traumatic event, like a car accident, something like that, and it results in injury, trauma to the brain. Well, it's important that people have cognitive therapies and other supportive services in their home early on to relearn skills and to move towards independence again. So OCCK has a brain injury services that are provided here, I'm trying to think of things. Oh, I do have some exciting news. Good thing I wrote a note. In July, the state of Kansas is looking at expanding the definition of who could potentially get brain injury supports.
Wonderful.
It's a big deal.
Sure.
So it doesn't have to be just a traumatic event. It can be an acquired brain injury. So think of things like a stroke, for example.
That's the first thing that popped into my head. Yes.
And that's a big change. So that opens, that really opens up those support services to a larger population of people.
Right. And how beautiful that your mission already accommodates that.
Absolutely.
Without even having to change your mission.
Absolutely.
The needs there, your mission just fits that just beautifully already. Isn't that lovely?
It is.
Perfect. Let's go to you, Michelle. So you're in charge of transportation. So tell me a little more about that.
Sure. So transportation is one of those services that came out of a need. So they've always offered transportation since the very beginning, but for clients of OCCK. And that's expanded over the years to be general public transportation. So again, recognizing that need of a different kind of disability, if you will, of not having transportation. So we offer 5 different services through our transportation department.
Wow.
So 10 years ago, we started CityGo, which is the fixed route bus service here in Salina. Has 5 different colored routes that run all across Salina. So anyone coming to Salina or here in Salina can get anywhere pretty much that they need to go, Monday through Friday and also on Saturday. In 2018 alone, we served 280,000 rides just through CityGo.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
280,000.
Yeah, so we have a great staff of drivers that are super helpful, and if someone is new and has questions, they can help them get wherever they need to go.
What kind of charge goes with CityGo?
So it's a $2 daily fare, and that gets you all-day service. You can transfer from bus to bus, or you can purchase a monthly pass for $35. So it's extremely reasonable.
Very reasonable.
That's really one of the reasons why we think a lot of people want to use it, is because it is so much more reasonable than owning a car.
Right.
So
Yes. Very good.
So that's one service.
Okay.
So the second thing that we do really very well, I think, is Paratransit service. And so we do that across 14 counties in north central Kansas, including Ellsworth.
Yes.
So that's a door-to-door service, meaning our driver will bring that vehicle straight to the person's house, assist them into getting into our vehicle, which all of our vehicles are wheelchair accessible, and then they'll take them directly to their destination. So that's a great service that we've offered. A lot of people take advantage of that, and it's always expanding. We're always getting calls, from people all over that want us to be able to do that. And again, that's general public, so it's anyone, not limited to anyone with a disability, and they can go anywhere that they need to go. Grocery store, medical appointments, go get your hair cut. You could do anything like that.
Very good.
Third service that we offer is non-emergency medical transportation. So that is for people that have Medicaid. And so that's something that not a lot of providers do. We're one of the ones that do offer that. And so anyone with Medicaid that needs to go to a medical appointment, whether that's Kansas City, Wichita, we're able to do those long distance trips.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So all they have to do is call the transportation number on the back of their Medicaid card and schedule those appointments, and we can provide that transportation for them. We also work with Salina Regional Health Center here in Salina, and we provide transportation to and from Salina Regional and any of their affiliates, which is also the hospital in Concordia, the hospital in Lindsborg, and several different offices here in town.
Okay.
Those services are provided to people at no charge. which is great for them, that they can get to and from medical appointments, in and out of the hospital or whatever they need to do. We have that great partnership with Salina Regional, and we're excited about that.
Yes.
And then the latest thing that we just started in 2017 is 81 Connection. So it is another fixed route bus service, but it's the only regional route of its kind in the state. So we're kind of proud about that too.
That's so awesome.
It really is. So it runs from Belleville to Salina 3 times a day, Monday through Friday. Yeah, so it was a need that was recognized and has really been talked about for about 10 years probably, and we were able to finally get the funding and get all those pieces worked out so we can get that going.
And what kind of a charge does that carry then?
So that is $1 from community to community. So it's relatively, I mean, extremely inexpensive.
Yes.
So Belleville to Salina is $4 one way. I mean, you can't really drive that.
No,
for
absolutely
that.
not.
So
how beautiful.
it is. It's really great. We're working on additional partnerships for that.
Mm-hmm.
So we do serve Cloud County Community College and their students, and they really appreciate that. So we're excited about the possibilities of increasing ridership for that and other ways that we can start other routes in other directions like that.
That's
So those-
so great.
So those are the 5 things that keep us busy on a daily basis.
All with the staff of you, right? I mean,
No, we have a few more. We have a few more people than that.
So you've got some work going on.
We do have a few
Michelle.
things going on.
See, that was one of the things I love most about this is look at all I'm learning.
Right.
Along with y'all, you're learning a lot.
Yes.
Very good. I love that. Okay, so where is all of that information? Where can we find all of the information, and especially like Ellsworth County?
Sure.
Where can we find all of those wonderful things?
We do have a lot of resources that you can find. So you can go to OCCK's website, which is www.occk.com, and you can click on transportation on there.
Okay.
You can also go to our transportation department website, which is citygo.com, and that will talk about all of those services that I just mentioned. We also have a kind of a new resource, a statewide resource that is ksrides.org. It stands for Kansas Rides.
Sure, okay.
And that would be specifically by county. So anyone that lived in any county across the state could click on their county and find those transportation options in the county. So we do work closely with the transportation organization in Ellsworth County. And we also house the mobility manager for North Central Kansas in our office.
Oh, wow.
So we're excited about working with Claire Mullen, and she's represents all 8 counties and works with transportation needs in that, and the bike sharing program that we will be rolling out shortly.
Roll it out soon.
Yes.
Get ready, Ellsworth County.
That's right.
Bike sharing coming.
Yes.
Bonus.
Yes.
That's exciting
We
too.
are really excited about that.
Yeah, really looking forward to hearing more about that
Yes.
and getting involved in that. And I would just say too, because OCCK is a gold member, if you go to goellsworth.com, you can click on their name and you'll get to their website too. So that's just another bonus by being a member and being a gold member, is you get a clickable logo, a clickable listing on our website too.
Great.
So that just helps too. One more way to get there.
Great.
Okay. So let's move into any other new services. Susan, you talked a little bit about the new things that are coming from the state, but what about new services here at OCCK? And then we'll go right into Alzheimer's supports too, because I know that's so valuable. There's such valuable information there.
Oh, sure. I love talking about Alzheimer's.
Yes, ma'am.
But before I do that, it's not necessarily new.
Okay.
It's been around for a while. But information and assistance. So say you just have a question. You're an employer and you're thinking about how do I make this accessible, for example. You could call and get some information about laws and accessibility, those type of things. So information and assistance is available. Then you want me to jump right into Alzheimer's?
That would be great. I'm very excited to get to that.
Okay, all right. So Alzheimer's is a
important.
partnership. OCCK has we partner with KU Med, with KU Alzheimer's Disease Center, to deliver. It's grant-funded services, so this is no cost to family. Families in Ellsworth County can receive support for caregivers. So Doesn't matter if you're an adult child taking care of a mom or dad or uncle, doesn't matter. If you're a family caregiver, if you're a formal, a paid caregiver, you can have supports through this, these Alzheimer's supports and services through OCCK. There is a second piece of it that is specific to the person with Alzheimer's or a related dementia. So sometimes people get kind of stuck on, is it just Alzheimer's? This is for Alzheimer's and related dementias. This intervention is a sit on the couch, be in your home, so you don't need to leave. It's where you're most comfortable. Support for the caregiver, and then a mobility piece for the individual with the either diagnosis or a high risk of the disease. Balance, mobility, endurance, all of those things are very important, and KU has based these services on evidence that shows that engaging in those types of activities in very deliberate ways can help prevent the progression of the disease. And when you're thinking about maintaining your mobility, not falling, those are big deals.
Yes.
Yep.
They are. I'd like to go back to that very first sentence because the others, probably one of the most important pieces of that is that it's grant funded, so at no cost, and just as important for the caregiver as for the person with the disease.
Very much so. One of the things Sheila and I speak about often is caregivers, there's a feeling that we just kind of power through and we don't complain, but there is a huge level, or can be, exhaustion, grief, just sadness over the disease itself. And that role and having support as a caregiver is critical.
Yes.
So
just important to
it is.
Just move on with that awareness and just make sure people know that you're there for them.
Absolutely.
In so many ways. And we do have some great brochures and great information for you at the Chamber office if people need to stop in and look at that. So, okay, I wanted to know too, how do you, Sheila, work then with other service organizations? Because it seems that you are seamless here, but I'm guessing you do great collaborative work as well.
Sure, absolutely. We would not exist without all of the partners. I mean, communities come together and everybody pitches in and we figure out how to deliver services. So we partner with counties, government, other social service organizations, schools, doctors' offices, hospitals. I mean, it's just endless, but our mission and our values are that if everybody comes together, we can provide phenomenal services.
Yes.
And if we all stay separate, it doesn't quite work very well,
right.
And so we have a long history and we're very proud to partner. There's if you just reach out, we'll sit down and figure out what we can do together. And I think that's so important, particularly in rural areas, because, if you're in Kansas City, you can be pretty independent and you can get an array of services that you need. But if you're in Belleville or Ellsworth, it becomes much more difficult and you've got to go so far for specialists. So we think if we partner, we can keep those specialists coming into our areas so that we don't all have to go to Kansas City so much.
Yeah.
When we're working with KU, we're teaching them you got to get out in rural communities and you've got to you can't just stay in Kansas City.
Right.
And they're doing a beautiful job of being excited about rural and how do they how they work with hospitals and how do they, so those things are very important. That's how we partner and certainly intend to continue.
Very good. I love that. What do you see in the future of OCCK?
Oh gosh, so many things. I think the most important thing is that partnership and continuing to figure out what people need in rural areas to stay independent or to become independent or to maintain their independence. I think it's really fun. Alzheimer's services, we've talked about those things for years, and all of a sudden there was an opportunity. And I think it's our job to along with communities, to try to find money to support those things. So I see us continuing to grow transportation. You know, all of us are aging in rural communities, and so how do we stay in our homes? Everyone wants to stay in our homes. I think technology is huge in the future. That will enable us to stay a lot longer and do a lot more things, because there's gadgets that say when I don't get up or when I fall, or
sure.
you know. So I see us continuing to just grow and figure out ways for people to stay independent. So
it's very good.
yes,
I appreciate all the different services that you offer, and your ever-growing efforts. I've seen it through the years myself, just by being a close neighbor, shall we say. So it's very interesting to see all the things you do, and I know that there's even more. We've covered very little. We've barely touched the iceberg today.
Right.
Just barely. We're excited to have a few things coming up in Ellsworth that we'll be sharing. We have a job fair coming from Shanna. And so there's definitely more things coming. And I know I talk about Ellsworth. That's just because that's where I'm from. The Go Ellsworth show will be seen in all kinds of other places where your services are certainly needed and shared as well. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for letting me come and be a part of this today, and for teaching me some more things that OCCK offers. We wish you the very best. We appreciate your gold partnership and membership with the Ellsworth Area Chamber, and we wish you nothing but the best. Thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.